What is up, mortals? It's Dante from the anime Underworld, and today we got a new chapter in For Knights of the Apocalypse, Chapter 203, Light of the Future. As if this cover of 𝐼𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞 killing his own father was bad news enough, we got news that next week we are on break, so let's see what kind of cliffhanger Nakaba Suzuki has for us this week. We begin this chapter with Percival confronting 𝐼𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞 and asking him, I dare you to answer the question, 𝐼𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞, if you even can. If you say I'm the vessel made by implanting a life spirit into a dead child. We cut to Diodora and the Isoldes riding on the pets and are on their way up, with Percival asking 𝐼𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞, then what was that vessel even for? For whose sake did you create that vessel for? We all know the answer, but does 𝐼𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞? Beletripe is growing furious, telling him to stop with the back and forth, but Tristan gets the Green Knight's attention, saying that he's the same way. Nani? Tristan, who has not gone berserk yet for some reason, exclaims that you have someone you wanted to protect too, no matter the cost. You have a daughter you love above all else. He explains that losing you cost her all the trust she had in Camelot, and now she's here in Anafwin, and unbeknownst to them, is on her way up the mountain. The Green Knight slashes his sword at the Prince of Leonis, telling him to stop messing with him. There's no way he could have had anyone like that at all. The knights evade the attack, but they still keep on going, saying you reached out and obtained your chaotic force in order to protect Isolde, didn't you? They manage to deal a blow against the Green Knight, knocking him backwards into the ground, along with the White Knight. But something's happened to the four knights that freezes them in place, with Worrlendane asking, what have you done? We transition to 𝐵𝐿, who is, looking at a very, very weird scene. The chaos that grew in their minds, it's reacting in the oddest way, like never before. The pods are just moving, scrambling around. They're festering over the memories like a tumor. 𝐵𝐿 informs Percival that it's transforming in order to fully cover up those prodded memories. The Knight of Death tells Percival that something is going on, with 𝐵𝐿 asking, you mean with 𝐼𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞 or Beletripe? The correct answer was E, all of the above. The knights are just standing there. For some odd reason, despite what happened before, they're just frozen up like statues, which concerns even 𝐵𝐿. He explains that it's possible that this is the theory. The chaos likely shut off their senses in order to hold back the memories. And it's very clear now that the pieces of chaos that were planted inside them are one and the same. So this is more like a hive mind situation. The other two knights are wondering why Percival is talking to himself and who is he talking to, with him just casually saying, it's 𝐵𝐿. With that question answered, they now have to wonder what is going on. 𝐵𝐿 soon has a revelation that if they can peel away the chaos from within, all four evils will be released from it, which will make them normal people again. Percival relays the information and everyone is surprised, wondering how. Like, seriously, how is this even gonna work? Sadly, there might be a big problem. 𝐵𝐿 has no idea on how to achieve it. But thanks to a little Deus Ex Machina and right on cue timing, the children of the four evils have come. Diodora on his dear lion pal, and the Isoldes on the snake, calling out to their individual fathers. The other two knights are very surprised that they have come, with Isolde and Isolde too, and Gawain, yes, has the same expression that many fans have probably had at this point. Yeah, that's not confusing at all, having two girls with the same name. Once off their pets, they rush to their fathers, telling them to open their eyes and recognize them, damn it. Deprived of his senses and down for the count and finally weak, 𝐼𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞 is down on the ground with Diodora coming up, and Isolde begs her dear father Beletripe to remember her, with the Green Knight finally, after all this time, removing his mask, and we see, I have a few things to say about this. For one, it is really good that we finally get to see what Beletripe, aka Damon, looks like. And wow, I gotta say, he looks pretty spot on with Escanor's wanted poster. You know, what we thought Escanor was gonna look like, and yeah, he does really look like his brother. He doesn't have as great of a mustache, but he's got a cool beard. Second, he called Isolde 𝐬𝐿𝐫? Wait a minute. 𝐬𝐿𝐫? Sorry, I missed that old show. But I will be taking the nickname 𝐬𝐿𝐫 for this Isolde because I am tired of saying Camelot Isolde, Leona's Isolde, and just, okay? I'm just calling her 𝐬𝐿𝐫. That's it. 𝐬𝐿𝐫 hugs her dear father, crying her eyes out, telling him that yes, it was the nickname that you called her as a young child. Tristan is relieved, saying that it's working, that they're bringing them back this way. With Gawain looking concerned, she says out loud, I don't know if it'll go that smoothly. No, don't say that. That's the equivalent of saying,
what could possibly go wrong?
𝐼RONSIDE now has his helmet off, and Diodora is trying to work his own magic on his father, asking him to remember him, and that he's been deceived this whole time by King Arthur. He looks at his son and finally recognizes him, saying his name, Diodora. Could this be what breaks the evil spell on the Knights of Evil? No. 𝐼RONSIDE starts bleeding from his eyes, and the veins start popping out. With the last bit of will that he has, he pushes his son away. Even Beletripe is starting to react, concerning both of the Isoldes, as Isolde is taking 𝐬𝐿𝐫 far away. The fathers aren't the only ones, as Worrlendane and Pelgard are starting to foam up and act crazy, almost like they have rabies, and 𝐵𝐿𝐵 tells them that they failed. In their collective mind, he sees a swirling pit of black. The 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐿𝐵 tells them that as we prodded those memories, the chaos started going haywire, like a contaminated flood. It's big enough to swallow their entire memories, including their own selves. This was the worst possible outcome. The chaos in their bodies starts transforming them. Their bodies twist and starts twisting around. New features are beginning to form as the knights take on a more sinister appearance before 3 of the 4 Knights of the Apocalypse. And what is that sight? It's something that even they cannot handle as things stand now. The 4 evils are truly Knights of Chaos, as we gaze upon their new monstrous forms. And 𝐵𝐿𝐵 tells them to run for it. I have a lot to say about these new forms, trust me. But they will be saved once this review is over, because oh boy, there's a lot to talk about. The 3 knights are conflicted. Leave them to their own devices at Chaos' behest, but 𝐵𝐿𝐵 assures them that no one would fault them for this. After all, they are destined to save the world. And that is how we end Chapter 203. Like I said in the beginning, there is going to be a break next week. So we'll be talking about something else next week, but for now, let's talk about this chapter. First off, I will say that I was getting so bored with this fight despite the initial hype. There really wasn't much going on aside from just trying to break the spell. Like, I was expecting big, sporadic moves. I wanted Tristan Leonis to finally show up more of his Nova spells against the 4 evils. You know, now that these are the big shots, why not go all out? Give us some combo moves. I was getting really bored until I saw this. This is what Arthur promised them, the power to take on the 7 deadly sins, and I believe it. We didn't get to see much of it with their powers. 𝐼RONSIDE certainly got stronger, but it wasn't really that impactful. But now we get to see these new transformations, and I gotta say, it does remind me about the Demon Clan's Enduro transformation ability. By sacrificing something of themselves, with the demons it was 8 of their 9 hearts, and for this, it's their entire self-identity, they gain a monstrous transformation and become berserk and incredibly powerful. No longer the people that they once were. And let's talk about these transformations, shall we? Worrlendane. The White Knight seems kind of lame if I'm being honest. I actually preferred her original attire. There's a lot more class and good designs with that one. With this, it's just a twisted spearhead and a white robe. I mean, that's it. There's nothing else added on to it. I don't know what this form's gonna do, but in terms of the design quality, it's not that great. Contrast that with Ironside, who seems to be pulling more of a Sukuna look from Jujutsu Kaisen with the 4 arms. Given that both of these characters are known for having slashing attacks, yeah, you can see where I can make the comparisons. The only contrast between him and Sukuna is that, where are his legs? I don't know if this is if there wasn't enough room on the panel, but Ironside lost his legs in exchange for the extra arms. I saw this theory on X from Ray, who is a 7 Deadly Sins fan, who suggested that it's possible he lost his legs to channel his spirit magic through it. That's gotta be a pretty good theory. I keep forgetting that Ironside is Star Shooting Assassin. He is also a spirit user, much like Shion. So in this new transformation, his legs will be whatever spirit he's using. Maybe he'll have a pair of wind legs, whether it's wind spirit, or maybe he'll transform into water if he has a water spirit on hand. Who knows? But it's a good way, if possible, he's combining both his normal magic and the spirits. Oh, my dear Pelgard, what have they done to you? What have they done to you, Fire Daddy? And what did they do to your hands? Look at his hands. Pelgard fused with his mace. So how is he gonna do the fire spells? The spikes are badass, but the hands? Really? I'll be honest though, when I was expecting a chaotic form of Pelgard, I was expecting a flaming demon or Ghost Rider aesthetic. Pelgard just becomes this giant flaming figure. The design is pretty gnarly, but again, not what was I expecting. And then we have, of course, the last member, Beletripe. Let's see, extra antler horns on the helmet, a longer robe, and of course he too also got the treatment of just fusing with his weapon, with his right arm now becoming his sword. This right arm cannot catch a break. First Escanor breaks it, and then Tristan Leonis cuts it off, and now it's a sword hand. It certainly is handy, but I gotta wonder, is Beletripe at this point left-handed? Like he knew somewhere down the line he was gonna lose his arm eventually, so he tried practicing writing with his left arm just in case. These designs, oh boy, they're not pretty, but hey, wonder how they'll be in action. We'll have to see after the break. If you love 7 Deadly Sins and Fortnite to the Apocalypse material, subscribe for more content coming your way. We'll be sure to come out with a new video next week if possible. I'll try my best to keep you all entertained. But in the meantime, this has been Dante from the Anime Underworld, and I'll see you mortals later.